Hi guys, another SPaG lesson coming up. This one is on conjunctions. So we are going to be having today a lesson based on conjunctions. Now conjunctions can be subordinating, they can be coordinating, and some people might even call them connectives. So we're going to be looking at subordinating conjunctions. I'll explain what that means. Coordinating conjunctions, I'll also explain what that means. And we're going to be looking at compound and complex sentences as well as we go through. So make sure you've got a pen and a pad ready, and make sure that you are writing down anything that you are not sure about that you might need to use. So we'll start off today with coordinating conjunctions. And so I'm going to move myself out of the way over here. And with coordinating conjunctions, the rain was falling heavily from the sky. We put up our umbrellas. Now, both sentences need to make sense on their own. They both need to be the main clause of a sentence. They both need to make sense for us to use a coordinating conjunction. So it coordinates the two sentences together. One isn't more important than the other. They are both sentences in their own right. And then we link the main clauses together, and this creates a compound sentence. So it's something like this. We would have so put in there. The rain was falling heavily from the sky, so we put up our umbrellas. So is one of a few. There's only a few coordinating conjunctions, and I'll tell you what those are in a minute. So then our sentence would look like this, and it would look like the rain was falling heavily from the sky, so we put up our umbrellas. Now they both need to make sense in their own right. Now there are, as I say, only a few coordinating conjunctions. So when we're looking at coordinating conjunctions, the ones that we are looking at are, if I can make this work, computer's frozen. Just going to pause for a minute. And so what we would have here is our coordinating conjunctions would be for and nor, but, or, yet, and so. Now we can remember this relatively easily by using an acronym. An acronym is something that when you take the first letter of each of the words, it makes a new word to help us remember things. So this one would be for, and, nor, but, or, yet, and so. And it comes up as fanboys. So these are our coordinating conjunctions. Now what we would have is different sentences. For example, she did not cheat on the test, for it was the wrong thing to do. There we go, for, F of our fanboys. I really need to go to school, but I am too sick to ride my bike. So but is there, that's the B of our fanboys. He ran out of money, so he had to stop buying V-Bucks. So is our coordinating conjunction there. So, and fanboys, the S. And then they got there early and they got really good seats. And now each of these bits of the sentence would work on their own. I really need to go to school is a sentence in its own right. I am too sick to ride my bike is a sentence in its own right. So they work together. So because they are both the main clauses, we have our coordinating conjunctions. Now, what else we would have would be, with our coordinating conjunctions, is we would have a challenge for you to do to see if you can use them all. Now with this challenge here, you are looking at trying to use each of the above words in a sentence under the heading coordinating conjunctions. So you need the heading coordinating conjunctions and then underline them to help you remember when you revise, because otherwise you're not going to know when you go back to look at your book, your revision book, your SPaG book, which bit is which. So these are all our coordinating conjunctions, and you probably want to write out fanboys and write next to each one what they are. So write for, and, nor, but, and so on, and then you can write the word next to it. Okay, so subordinating conjunctions are slightly different. So a subordinating conjunction joins a main clause and a subordinate clause. The main clause makes sense on its own, but the subordinate clause is the part of the sentence that does not make sense on its own. When we join these together, when we have coordinated conjunctions, it makes a compound sentence. This makes a complex sentence. Because he wouldn't wear a seatbelt is our subordinate clause. It doesn't make sense on its own. But if we put this bit on, Robin wasn't allowed in the Batmobile anymore because he wouldn't wear a seatbelt. Now, this is our main clause. Robin wasn't allowed in the Batmobile anymore. Because he wouldn't wear a seatbelt is our subordinate. So if we take away that bit, we can see that Robin wasn't allowed in the Batmobile anymore works on its own. So that is our subordinating conjunctions. Now with those, there are absolutely loads, and there's not a way of me letting you remember them. But if you want to write a few of these down, pause the video now and you can do that. So if you want to write a few of these down, then you can do that. What I would like you to do is use those subordinating conjunctions. And if we have them here, we can see that they can go at the start of the sentence as well as in the middle. So you can move it around. Before you leave, please switch off the lights. Please switch off the lights before you leave. So we can see that before you leave doesn't work on its own, but please switch off the lights does. Please switch off the lights works on its own, but before you leave doesn't. So I've just moved it around. But if you have the coordinating conjunction or the subordinating conjunction at the start of your sentence, you need to make sure, well, it would only be a subordinate one, wouldn't it? Before you leave, you need to make sure then you add in the comma. So before you leave, please switch off the lights. And you can see where I took a breath there. Please switch off the lights before you leave. You don't need the comma there because it's in the middle. But if it's at the start, if we have it at the start, then we know that we need a comma after the first phrase. So my challenge to you, I'm not going to give you all of them, but can you use some of these? After, once, until, when, provided that, although, as, rather than, and whenever, and see if you can use them at the start of the sentence. See if you can use them, some of them in the middle of the sentence. Provided that I get sugar, I can make some cakes. I can make cakes provided that I get some sugar. So if you want to write both, you can do that. That is not a problem at all. So pause the video now. Make sure you have the heading subordinating conjunctions, so a main clause and a subordinate clause, and then underline them to help you remember. So that's about it really with our conjunctions. Relatively easy, but it's just remembering subordinate conjunctions or subordinating conjunctions, coordinating conjunctions, and remembering that with subordinating you have a main clause and a subordinate clause. So two parts of the sentence, one makes sense on its own, the main clause, the other bit does not. And with the coordinating conjunctions, both of those make sense. They've got equal weight. They are equally a main clause that you can join them with. And just remember when we're doing our coordinating that you can use fanboys. So I hope that's been helpful. I hope you've enjoyed that. Please click where it says Year 6 Teacher. You'll see all the other videos that I've done to help you guys out. And please have a look at the other SPaG lessons that I've put on here. There'll be more coming out. There'll be one coming out on adverbs very soon. Take it easy, guys. See you later.